Welcome in. We're going to call it Hail to the Podcast. That's the graphic that's up. Sure. Hail to the Podcast. Special edition, Maize and Blue Review, signing day roundup. You are joined by three very tired gentlemen. It's been a long day, but we are here to recap the day that was like Christmas Day for recruiting, signing day, Michigan football, couple of new commits, no big surprises, a couple lingering things going into February. So we're going to just kind of break down this class. An excellent close from Sharon Moore and company, obviously headlined by Bryce Underwood, but obviously multiple others as well. So we'll go down the list, take your questions as well, and then I said just kind of look forward to their careers in Ann Arbor, and then obviously the shorter term signing day in February and the portal too. I mean, just absolute chaos oncoming. So let me introduce you to my friends, Josh Henschke, Intel Insider Publisher. Very tired man, preparing to go to Australia, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. It's better than last year because if you remember last year, I joined the podcast while I had the flu. So, now I'm in a way better position than I am last year. So that's good. It's a good start.
I do remember that. It was a good start.
Yeah.
And we are joined by our Maize and Blue Review recruiting reporter. You can tell he's not Brock because he's not in a closet. Seth Berry. You very busy day, sir. Obviously helping out 3 different sites. Appreciate you joining us. How are you feeling? What's your vibes with this Michigan close?
I'm feeling good. I mean, it was obviously, just when the Underwood news happened a couple weeks back and Michigan got the win against Ohio State, it just felt like everything, momentum wise was going really good for the program. And obviously today, closing on Boateng there and what they did to kind of close this class and, make it a top 10 class at the end of the day. Just a lot of momentum going for Michigan right now. And just got back from Underwood and, Elijah Dotson signing day. So that was pretty, I think maybe some of the Belleville people are happy that's kind of over right now.
I'm sure.
I mean, not that the attention is a bad thing, but that was kind of unprecedented for what they had going on with Bryce there. So, but yeah, just overall good day and kind of like you guys, a little bit tired, but we're here and we're rolling. So,
yeah. It's funny though. I don't remember even what you said that made me think of this, but I was texting with a couple people today and they're like, I was kind of hoping for something a little more. And I'm like, man, Bryce Underwood has ruined you people. Like, Jordan Young flipped and then Nate Marshall flipped back and Boateng committed today. What are you guys talking about? You give people Bryce Underwood and then you beat Ohio State when you have this team that's arguably one of your worst in a while, and they're saying it's the best ever, and people are just like, I was expecting a little more. It's never enough.
No, it never is because we're gonna be we're gonna be talking about 2026 here real fast. So
gross.
Yeah. So,
I saw a 29 offer today, and I was like, I can't.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
When it hits 30, I don't know what to do, but. Yeah. Let's start with where Seth just came from, and it's Bryce Underwood, right? Obviously, he is the face of not just this 2025 class, but arguably, we talked about this on our last episode, Josh, arguably the face of this program already, which is pretty remarkable. Signs today, Sharon Moore made some comments about him as well, and kind of what he expects of him and maybe what the future looks like. He's going to be joining with bowl practices right around the corner here. So, I mean, he's been the story and he's about to become the only major story for a little while, I think. But if you want to just highlight a few things from today and some of Sharon's comments as well.
Yeah, I think the big thing and obviously the most obvious thing out of everything that Sharon said is that, they're not going to just hand the keys to him right away and come in and just say, hey, you know what, you can do whatever you want, Bryce. He's going to have to work for it. Excuse me. And it's something that Bryce is well aware of coming into this thing anyway. I mean, he very well could come in and just commandeer this offense and take it over and do whatever he wants. And that's and that's okay because I think he's just that talented, and obviously considering Michigan's quarterback room at the moment, he's the clear cream of the crop when it comes to what they have, and even I unless barring something unbelievable out of the portal, I still think he's going to be the cream of the crop of this quarterback room. Once they kind of decide who they want to bring into the portal as well. But excuse me, my big takeaway is that it's nothing's going to be guaranteed, and that's the way it should be, and I would expect nothing less. But yeah, I mean, this guy is going to be the marquee guy of this recruiting class, and it's going to be the face of the program for at least 3 years. So, yeah, I mean, it just wouldn't surprise me if he comes in as a day one starter and just does not relinquish that position. But I'm glad that Michigan is kind of operating that nothing is given, it's earned. And they seem pretty impressed. So, and obviously the offensive coordinator talk too is important. It kind of wants to be, Sharon made it clear that they want to be balanced, not necessarily, as we've kind of been talking about. They don't necessarily want to reinvent the wheel when it comes to their offensive scheme. They don't want to like completely overhaul the offense. They don't want to go like pure spread and just get away from what works, but just kind of like reinvigorate the passing game a little bit. And obviously having a quarterback like Bryce Underwood, does that by default anyway, because he's just so good at what he does. But, having a voice in there too is important. So, there's a lot of moving parts that still got to be kind of worked out here in terms of the offensive coordinator. But, yeah, I mean, it's a good start to have a kid like Underwood come in and be your face of your program, essentially right away, and could be until he decides to go pro a couple of Januaries from now, if he's as we think he is.
Yeah. We do expect Michigan to add, it depends who stays and who goes, but at least one quarterback at the portal, if not two. And I mean, one of those is going to have to be somebody with starter level experience, because you can't go into next year without it. Is that going to be a guy that has an edge on Underwood from the jump? Is it a guy that at least pushes Underwood and competes? We've brought up the Kelly Bryant, Trevor Lawrence situation, where Lawrence kind of took over like week 3, week 4. We're completely guessing until we know who the portal additions are. But obviously the point is Bryce Underwood is the kind of guy who could absolutely start day one and probably is expecting to, right? So, Seth, to Josh's point, and I mean, you can take this wherever you want in terms of Underwood. Sharon Moore was talking about the offense being more explosive back in 2023 when he first took over as OC. They took some shots and it just didn't really work out, and Harbaugh kind of settled into what he knew and what he was comfortable with. This year, they talked about being explosive again, and I think Kirk Campbell probably forced that at times, and it just wasn't happening, right? So with this OC change and with Underwood coming in, I don't think they're going to move too far away from smash, and I think they're still going to run the football and strong offensive line. But I think Moore knows this team needs to add an explosive element. And, I mean, Underwood can throw the ball 70 yards with like a flick of the wrist. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and I think he's one of those guys, and going back to Josh's point just about, nothing being given to him and having competition, I don't think he wants it given to him. I think he's one of those guys that he understands. He's going to a big time program, and I know there's a lot of hype around him and things like that, but he's very level headed. He understands, what it's like to transition to a big program like Michigan. So for the keys just not to be handed over to him, I think he expects that approach from Michigan's coaching staff and whoever they might bring in from the portal. He's going to expect to compete and have to win that job, and I think that's healthy for not only the quarterback position, but, all your position groups. If you want to sustain a successful program, to kind of do it that way. And I think, you talk about the explosive offense, Trevor, just I think there's a little bit of a shift in the types of wide receivers they've recruited this class, kind of the more down the field type of explosive type of players like Jacob Washington. Jamar Browder can certainly get down the field and stretch, beyond just a few yards. So Andrew Marsh is more of a slot guy, but he can, he can be explosive as well. So I think, they're not going to get away from the running game, but the more you can stretch the field, right, the more you can pass the ball down the field. I mean, we saw several times this year, how many times did they might have blocked a play well, but they're bringing so many numbers into the box that, you can block it as good as you want, but if you're getting outnumbered in the box because you can't stretch the field, you can't run the ball. Yep. So, I think there's been a little bit of a shift in the types of receivers they've recruited this class, and it might spell that pushing the ball down the field a little more, like Sharon has talked about in the past.
I think it's funny too that you mentioned the size of the wide receivers, because Sharon mentioned today that Andrew Marsh was the runt, and he's like 6'2", and 6'2" in Michigan's offense right now would be like the tallest guy. So it's just funny how quickly that mindset has changed in terms of getting that bigger guy. And he openly said today, Sharon is like, we haven't had a bigger guy since Nico Collins, and I've wanted to have that. So now, obviously, his program, he can do whatever he wants, has added multiple guys that have that, Nico Collins type frame they can utilize, because, he mentioned it. You get a bigger wide receiver, the margin for error is way, way less than, a guy like a shorter guy, like a Samaj Morgan, for example, or whatever. If you're going to throw high, a guy 6'6", your odds of having a contested catch go way up than compared to someone who's smaller. So addressing those size concerns is the right thing that Michigan was doing here. Couple that with speed and some guys with some athleticism too, and you might be working with something here.
I always think about something Matt Stafford used to talk about with Calvin Johnson, which was there was a fourth dimension on the football field, because there was an area above the field that Matt Stafford could throw the ball to, and Calvin Johnson was the only one that could get that football. Right. And when you have a quarterback like Bryce, who is tall and obviously can have a long, sorry, I'm so tired. He can obviously throw it high as well. But like we've seen with Ohio State and some of these other offenses, like the reward you get for giving your receiver a chance to make a play, either they make the play or a lot of times you get a PI called, right? Yeah. Or nothing happens, but you've shown the threat to go downfield, right? Obviously, you don't want to throw interceptions, but if you have the receivers that can make those plays downfield, you shouldn't have to worry. And the quarterback that'll get it there, you shouldn't have to worry about it as much. We saw Campbell this year, to Seth's point about the way the box was loaded, he would call some air raid type concepts where like all the guys would go on verts and then stop and do like a 10-yard curl with the sticks. That's not going to work because nobody's dropping back thinking you're going deep. Right. You're not fooling anybody without the actual threat of it. Right. So, yeah, I mean, that's where things are headed. So, Bryce is the QB of the offense in the class. Michigan got the QB of the defense in this class with a commitment today of Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng. Interesting recruitment, right? So, I mean, this felt like a Notre Dame lean. Very heavy at first. Michigan had a real strong summer and then just kind of kept chipping away at it. Their last visit, they hit it out of the park to the point where, like, we're ready to say Boateng's in. This is done. He takes a Notre Dame visit. They clearly feel that way. Notre Dame basically takes themselves out of it. And then he goes to Colorado, and he falls in love with a lot of his visits on the visit, right? So then it's like, oh, now Colorado's a threat. But at the end of the day, his brother, obviously, NFL player for the Browns, went to Notre Dame. And I think this recruitment was very similar, where his family and he had a lot of boxes to check in terms of football and resources and networking and education and campus and blah, 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 blah. As much as we don't want to admit it, Michigan and Notre Dame have a lot in common, right? So Michigan got the edge, checked a lot of boxes, and this is a guy, depending on what they do with Barham, moving him to edge or whatever happens there, Owusu Boateng could start next year. Like he's that good. We have him as the number one linebacker in this class. I think he's just an absolute freak. Couldn't be happier to have him in Ann Arbor.
Yeah, he performed really, really well in the Rivals 5-star challenge this summer in Jacksonville. Was a stud and obviously earned that 5-star rating that he has. I think we're the only, if I'm not mistaken, I think we're the only outlet that has, the service who has him as a 5-star. Currently. Yeah, I mean, it just because we just think that highly of him. So, I mean, I think he's a guy that, if you were going to do, class superlatives or whatever, immediate impact players outside of the obvious of a guy like Bryce, the flip side of that, Boateng is going to be a dude that is going to be a dude, just has all the makings just to be an impact player day one, in a position where they're going to have someone step up sooner rather than later because Hausman is going to be gone after next season. And Barham, obviously, if they decide to put him in more of an edge role, there's going to be an open position there with Jimmy Rolder, whatever he decides he wants to do this offseason as well. So there's opportunity to come in and play right away. And obviously you don't want to overlook anyone that's already on the roster, but I think when you look from a pure talent standpoint, man, I mean, he's going to be about as good as what you're going to have right now. As to Jason's point here, add another, 15 to 20 pounds on him. He's going to be a specimen. And I think he's going to be one of the guys that are going to have one of the better impacts during his freshman year. Just because he's just that good. I mean, he's just that good, that fast, that athletic that I think he'll be an impact. I think he'll really thrive in this defensive scheme too. I think it really plays to his strengths. So, I mean, and the fact that, if all goes according to plan and you get everyone back from that linebacker core this year, you're going to be able to have, a guy kind of like a guy like Ernie and Ernest Hausman and Barham kind of be in that leadership role for him too. That's only another good feather in their cap for Michigan.
Sullivan in year 2 with
they've got dudes.
That's some violent hitters.
Yep.
Yeah. I think, just echoing what you guys have said, I feel like the linebacker position too, I was kind of talking about this with Brock. Don't know if it was just kind of the new scheme with Wink or whatever, but I feel like that's a group, and obviously they have talent there, but it's a group that got better as the season went on. Like Hausman was all over the field against Ohio State. Didn't feel like that was the case in the first few games, just kind of adjusting to, Wink was making adjustments as well as the season went on, but really saw Hausman and Barham really play well in the second half of the season, and it kind of just, upped the level of the defense. But yeah, this is a player that can, fill the run gaps. He can drop into coverage, sideline to sideline, speed, athleticism, sure tackler, everything that you would want in a linebacker, and someone who can definitely contribute in year one.
Sorry, I didn't mean to block your face out.
I know, I feel bad. I forgot it does that. Hold on. There we go. He's back.
It's a really good point by Jason here too. I mean, that's a really good shout. Remember what Wink did with Patrick Queen? He frames the same as Knob, and I totally agree. I mean, that's just getting him in that system. I mean, he's an early enrollee. Getting him in that system and getting that seasoning a little bit. It's just going to bode really well for Michigan, and also not to leave out Chase Taylor too. I don't want to not discredit him, and he's been a fast riser. He's been coming along, and obviously he needs a little bit more seasoning than compared to an Owusu Boateng, but also very good in his own right. and someone that Jean-Marie really kind of gravitated towards as soon as he got here. And as you can tell by the early commitment from Taylor too. But Michigan's linebacker class the last 2 cycles have been sneaky good if things can kind of work out. Cole Sullivan, obviously, if he can kind of take that next step and kind of show what he's made of, they're going to have back-to-back strong linebacker cycles here.
Lost a few guys too, though, from that linebacker group last year with some transfer out. So it'll be interesting to see how it comes together moving into next year. But yeah, but Boateng's been a guy I don't want to say they needed to get, but I remember in August when people were asking us like who are like the must gets left kind of in this class, and we said a left tackle, Babaloa, right? Your elite corner, Jamari Earls, and then I thought linebacker, the stud guy that you got in Boateng. So hit there. Saw a few things about Barham. The edge thing is kind of just a hypothetical thing. I've thrown it out there before. Jim Nagy, the director of the Senior Bowl, kind of agreed that he thought that might be a good move for him. I have not seen potential first-round pick. I think he might be thinking of Josiah Stewart. His draft status has not been there. To Seth's point, though, with how he played in the back half of the year, we know he's a good linebacker. We saw what he did at Maryland. I think in a weird way, the Will Johnson injury kind of forced Wink to make some decisions and adaptations in terms of Zeke Berry and Makari Page and some changes he made with linebackers. And it was just a masterstroke. It's where 40 years of experience pays off. Just awesome job by him in the second half. So another guy we're really, really high on that we have as a 5-star. At one point was the number 1 edge. I think he's at number 2 or 3 now. Look, we were hearing almost immediately when Bryce committed, there was this huge push at the edge position because they had lost Marshall earlier in the cycle, right? Williams, I thought, was probably going to move interior, but he went away. And then you're hearing about Hilson, and then you're hearing crazy stuff like Isaiah Gibson, and like they're just going after tons of edge players. And we kept hearing there's like this blue chip guy out there, like a secret guy. And it turned out, hey, you're starting late trying to get in with some of these other guys. Why don't you just stick with the guy you know and get Nate Marshall back? And that's what they did. I think Nate Marshall I would take him over Isaiah Gibson in a heartbeat. If you think I'm crazy, watch the tape. Marshall's tape is unreal. I think he is a perfect fit for the stand-up edge in this defense. And he's a guy that, Wink likes to move dudes around. We know that. He's a guy that can do that. Just again, when I'm thinking about this class, quarterback, and we'll get into more about offensive line, linebacker, corner, like every spot now at edge, you've got that high 4-star or elite 5-star. Like the future of the position is in this class. Nate Marshall's the future of the edge position.
Yeah, I don't get surprised very much in terms of when
right.
This thing. But I was legitimately surprised that they landed Nate Marshall. That was not on my radar at all. That it had been quiet for months, but it goes to show you that Sharon can operate quietly and under cloak and dagger and do things quietly, and also goes to show you that you don't burn bridges when it comes to recruiting, because you never know when you need to circle back, whether that's in the portal or in this case, never giving up on a guy that flipped elsewhere. I think, with Michigan struggling the way it did this year, and Sharon was asked about this year, and he didn't say that, and he was asked more about the quarterback position. Like, was the quarterback position struggling the reason why you decided you wanted to push for Bryce Underwood and wanted to get better? But I think Michigan struggling did have some sort of, at least from possibly more so from a collective standpoint, we were just national champions. We don't need to, why are we doing this? Why is this happening? This doesn't need to happen. We can get these guys and we can kind of circle back and by all accounts, from an NIL standpoint, Marshall, it's just a good pickup for Michigan in terms of from an NIL standpoint, from optics standpoint, more particular, but it's just nothing really. I don't get surprised very often, and I think this literally took everyone by surprise. And I think the only reason why this leaked out like minutes before it was going to come out was because Auburn was so pissed off about this whole thing that they were about to leak it anyway, and it was just a cat.
Well, that's what caught me off guard. Hayes Fawcett used the old graphic from the original. So when I saw it, I just assumed, because Twitter decided you don't need to be verified so that people know what's real anymore. I'm like, okay, this is a spoof account or something. Like, that can't be right. And then I look, I'm like, no, this is legit. I'm like, what in the world is going on? And yeah, he was worried Auburn was going to spoil because he did the right thing and went to them and told them what was going on. So he rushed to get it out there because he didn't want it spoiled, which, yay, recruiting. I like this part now that it's over and talking about the guys and how they fit. But, man, the path to getting here sometimes is just gross, But anyway, Seth, were you shocked? And do you like Nate Marshall as much as I do?
Yeah, I was just as surprised as you guys were to see that happen. From a, I guess, Marshall being here and development standpoint, I mean, you have to credit, I think, Lou Esposito as well, like the job he's done, since he's come in here. I mean, this guy, and I know him from being at Western Michigan, but, developed Braden Fisk, Marshawn Nealand, both former Western guys that are in the NFL right now. So what better guy to have as a defensive line coach, someone like Marshall with the type of upside and potential he has, coming in, fitting in with Wink's system, and then with Lou Esposito and the potential of what he has to develop these guys at defensive line and really, up their game. Just a ton of potential for him and excited about him being in the class for sure.
Yeah, Lou absolutely deserves a shout out. Being able to keep Bobby Kanka in this class, huge push by Michigan State particularly, but there's a huge push and he kept him. Julius Holly was another guy that kind of felt like he might get away from Michigan. And this recruitment, speaking of somebody new, Travis Moten, if you want to talk about what makes Lou great, so he was originally recruited at Western and was a Western commit, correct, Seth?
Yes.
Right? Yes. Okay. And Michigan starts looking at him and people are like, oh man, they're missing on these edge guys. So now they're, going for the low 3-star. Turns out he weighs like 40 or 50 pounds more than what was being reported. He's 6'6", 296 already. You go watch his tape. He is a bad man, unreal. And we've gotten some pretty strong hints. Like, when the final recruiting rankings come out, this dude is going to skyrocket up the rankings. So if you're somebody who cares a lot about that piece of it, it's going to be taken care of. If you're a film guy, go watch the film. And if you're a Lou guy, trust me, he just got, like Seth said, the Braden Fisk, Nealand, these guys that he's turned around. I am really, really intrigued by Travis Moten's potential. What a find by Lou Esposito.
Yeah, I mean, 16 and a half sacks your senior year will do that for you.
Wasn't it like 44 tackles for loss or just something disgusting?
Absolutely insanity what this guy was doing his senior year. My goodness gracious, this guy is going to be an absolute freak.
I'm sorry, only 30 for loss.
Oh, 30 tackles for loss. Some guys would just would kill for that in a 4-year career. Got it in like 12
in high school. In high school, dude.
Yeah,
it's like 4 a game.
Yeah, this is one of these finds that you watch the tape and you say, okay, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. B, you trust the coaches on this one too. You trust the staff and say, hey, he's got the physical traits to be like a Mike Morris, like a whatever.
Steve called that out. I mean, I've been thinking of him as the straight strong side edge, but now that he's 296,
that size is deceiving, and that's like interior DL numbers. But I mean, if he's athletic as the tape suggests he is, I mean, you can try him. You can try him at either spot. I mean, you can bump him down. I mean, Wink has shown. I know that you love this. Wink has shown to play his interior D lineman at the edge sometimes too, Trevor. So
I don't mind when they can. Okay.
Yeah.
Aiden Hutchinson could play 3 technique. He could put
Oh,
his hands
Wormley. That's a good one too. Chris
Wormley's a good one.
That's a great comparison.
I bet the size is really close too.
Yeah.
And that's a guy that could move all over.
Yep.
Sorry, you derailed me. Mason Graham is the best 3 technique in college football. He's a wrestler. He grabs dudes and moves them. Why are you putting him on the edge? Anyway, okay.
Yeah, but this is a guy that you just trust the process. I know it's cliche to say, but you kind of just gotta let them coach him out and see where it kind of fits. And you don't just luck into your stats that he had his senior year. And yeah, obviously competition probably has something to do with that. But again, you don't just luck into 16.5 sacks. You don't just luck into 30 tackles for loss. You're playing with some level of skill here. So I know he was quietly bumped in the weeks leading up to signing day. Excuse me. And I would not be surprised if he gets bumped again in the final rankings updates. I know our Greg Smith, the guy in his area, is a big fan of his game. And, it's just some guys just get missed. It happens. It's impossible to scout all of these players that are out there. Your guys are going to fall through the cracks. And to Michigan's, hopefully, they're hoping at least to Michigan's benefit that this guy kind of fell through the cracks and was, a late ID for Michigan. So, by the way that Michigan has been just developing defensive linemen, even this year, getting the best out of a TJ Guy, getting the best out of a Rayshon Benny, you have to assume that, obviously considering if the staff stays together and they continue to kind of develop, that this guy is going to just skyrocket up the depth chart eventually. I mean, a physical specimen of a player, and just if he's going to be hard to keep off the field. Look at this play. Look at that speed off the line. You can't coach. You can't teach that. That is God-given talent, freakish talent. You cannot coach that. Like, look at that. That's just insane.
Yeah, and to move that way at his size. Especially when you look at the plays where he's crashing down from the weak side and making plays from there. Just a freak of nature athlete. But and I don't know what his stats look like prior to this season, but some guys just they just blossom late. In their high school usages, and that's how they fall through the cracks as well. So. This is a great get for Michigan, and we're talking about Louis Macedo and great find, and the comparisons, or these comments are I think are spot on. With the Chris Wormley, and I think that's about perfect.
And Darren says future Bruce Feldman freaks list kind of guy. Yeah, I don't even want to begin to put the pressure on him of like a Mason Graham or a Kenneth Grant, but what made those two so good was what they could do for their size, right? Mason was incredibly flexible and athletic. Kenneth Grant running down, I can never remember if it was Singleton or Allen, but running down that running back against Penn State will be etched in my brain forever. And then USC, I'm so mad that he fumbled that because I think he was housing that. I needed to see the big man bring it back, right? But yeah, you see a guy like this and you're like, okay, I get it. I trust you. Like, oh my God. You're right. What he does screaming down the line of the scrimmage in the backfield, that's why he's got 30 tackles for loss, right? The dude's just
And what made Mason so great too is that he's a technician. He was just really technically sound. Like coming in right away, he was. I mean, you could tell that he was really well coached. But really just technically sound. Didn't have very many bad habits that Mike Elson had to break initially, and the same really goes for Kenneth Grant too. And you could tell by that film. I mean, there's a lot of good technique going on there, and technique gets you far in football. If you play, I mean, you don't necessarily have to have the talent. If you have technique and you're sound that way, that can, I mean, obviously talent plays a lot of it into it too, but the talent or the technique helps your game tenfold if there's other things lagging around. So if he comes in and doesn't have the bad habits that some of these defensive linemen have, where they're in a position where they're just bigger than everyone else that they play and they just bull rush, but he is not necessarily a bull rush type of guy. He's a finesse guy that can kind of dance around the offensive lineman. So I mean, look, the sky's the limit with this kid. And you can't teach that kind of speed that he's getting off the line there.
He looks like Michael Myers in the Halloween Rob Zombie remake, just physically moving people, and oh my god, what a class for Lou. I didn't mention Benny Patterson. That's another guy interior that went up the rankings. Good find for Michigan. Good class. Between now and February, maybe they add another edge, but I think when you think about the guys they've got with Dominic Nichols and Devin Baxter and Lugard Edekpe, and hopefully you're getting Derek Moore back next year, and whether it's moving Barham over or not, there is a edge player out in this portal right now that makes a lot of sense for Michigan. It'll be interesting to see if he's coming regardless of a Derek Moore potential leave or if he's a replacement, but that's for another day. We could spend an hour on the secondary. I don't want to. But Lamar Morgan, another coach that just absolutely crushed it this cycle. You look at what he's done here. So Elijah Dotson, obviously you get the Pitt flip day before Bryce Underwood. When you talk about an athlete, Elijah Dotson is an athlete. The guy can play receiver. He can play corner. He can play safety, nickel, special teams. Just awesome get. Excuse me. Had Kanoa Winston in for quite a while. Had him with Ivan Taylor. They looked like they were going to be the duo with safeties, but obviously Taylor moves on. You're able to hold on to Winston. We've made a lot of comparisons to him, kind of the safety hybrid, not quite Viper, but like just a physical safety, right? And then you go crazy and you get Jordan Young to flip from Clemson. Was that yesterday? I've lost track of time at this point. And then obviously before that, Shamari Earls, who wants to be the next great number 2 at Michigan, flipping as well. I'm still not 100% sure who slots nickel because they're kind of changing some philosophy a little bit. I thought the Makari Page move was an interesting tell. I think they want somebody bigger, maybe not Mike Sainristel-esque playing nickel anymore. They want somebody bigger. They're looking for I can't even think of his name. Tall safety for the Ravens. Played at Notre Dame.
Oh, Kyle Hamilton.
Thank you. I mean, that not like those guys grow on trees or anything. Just get a Kyle Hamilton type guy. Yeah. But anyway, it'll be interesting to see. But man, the secondary group with Will leaving and some question marks going into next year. I mean, I'm not going to hypothesize contributions on any of these guys early because it's a tough position to play early. But the future in that secondary with Lamar Morgan, this is a really good group that I wouldn't be shocked if in 2027 they're all starting in the secondary, and we're talking about, man, what a haul in 2025.
Yeah, there's funny. There was an interesting discussion. I can't remember where it was. I think it was on our message boards where people are asking, could this be Michigan's best defensive class or better than even 22 haul with Will Johnson and Keon Sabb? And I think that just from numbers alone of potential contributors, it very well could be. I don't really count. Go ahead.
Just real quick, because I'm like, that's only 4 people. Why did I only say 4? I know there's 5. Jaden Sanders hasn't signed yet. He's signing. Is it tomorrow or Friday?
Yeah, Sanders is signing Thursday, tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Okay. So Jaden Sanders, who was he the first corner commit too?
Kanoa Winston.
But yeah, either way. So 5. Sorry,
Yeah.
it was driving me nuts. I'm like, who am I forgetting? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm not worried about Sanders either, by the way. He's just signing tomorrow. So,
Right.
Yeah, I'm not really expecting any drama there. But, yeah, I mean, from a numbers standpoint, I mean, you lose Ivan Taylor and then replace him with Jordan Young. I mean, that's about as like for like as you can get. But, yeah, there's just so much good there in that group. And the young guys that Michigan has right now, like Mason Curtis and Josiah Edmond, that's played a little bit. Obviously, Jair Hill has had his moments this year too. Zeke Berry, I mean, boy, they have an embarrassment of riches right now of defensive backs.
I know we were already talking about this, but what a move making him outside corner. What a move.
Yep. And it's just, man, it's like they have options. Like this class, this defensive back group can be as good as you want it to be. And obviously you hope this group sticks together and kind of it doesn't get separated through the portal or whatever. But man, this group, it has the making.
This is the first step of roster building.
Right. And this is why you add 5 guys to your recruiting class. It's for that reason alone. But really, I mean, all 5 of those guys could see the field at any point early in their careers. I mean, I'm not necessarily saying all 5 are going to play year 1, but man, there's opportunities. Even this year, if there's a guy good enough, he'll play. There's going to be spots at corner. There's going to be spots at safety. And it looks like Rod Moore's coming back. However, Rod Moore's going to need some help. Makari Page is no longer going to be there. And, they love to rotate safeties. So there's going to be opportunity.
I need a Rod Moore, Brandon Hillman.
Oh, man. Oh, that both those both of those guys.
Their numbers are flipped because one's 9 and one's 6 too.
Yeah. Oh, Legion.
People are gonna get hurt with those two.
Legion of Boom. That's funny, but yeah, they've got some options, and the good thing is that they don't necessarily have to play if they don't want to. But they've got some young guys that they're going to be really, really good. So.
Some of the versatility too, when you look at that. And, Dotson did mention to me today that he sees himself as someone who could play like a nickel role. He's a little longer and that type of player. I mean, he can play, a lot of positions in the secondary, but
a couple years ago, you wouldn't have expected a guy that's 6'2" and probably ended up at 200 pounds to be the nickel, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. And but like you're saying, just a bunch of depth there. Shamari Earls, I just had to mention his man coverage ability. Like Josh, you were talking about technique and things like that, just in terms of staying on top of routes, physicality at the line of scrimmage, someone that isn't afraid to challenge a wide receiver. You can blitz, you can call different packages when you have, guys who can cover like that man to man. And he's one that is really going to be able to do that, in this defense.
Yeah, I've mentioned some players that Rivals is higher on. It's kind of been a running gag on our site about how low Shamari Earls was rated, and Josh worked very hard to get him that 4th star, and everybody just kept asking. And it took so long that he almost got a 5th star somewhere else. So, great call out on the man coverage, Seth, and he talked about that. He was on with Dennis Fithian today, our boy, and he talked specifically about that and wanting to play man coverage and being the boundary corner and taking the best receiver out of the game. When you think about some of the best corners, and again, insane pressure putting on a kid, but whatever, that's the fun part of signing day. But when you think about the best corners that have come through here, they talk like Shamari Earls talks, and they play like Shamari Earls plays, right? So I don't know if he's going to put number 2 on. He seemed to suggest as much with his graphic and his love of Will. But yeah, Steve brings up a good point. It was kind of like we were telling everybody, look, this NIL train's getting going, right? And this isn't Michigan. I don't know how many times I've seen this. If you guys are loyal, I talk about this all the time. This isn't Michigan just going out and buying dudes.
Right.
This is Michigan now having the ability to stay in recruitments that they could have won in the past, but weren't able to have these NIL conversations, right? Earls, when he was at South Carolina, wanted to come to Michigan, but clearly there was something at Georgia he couldn't turn down, and Michigan made it easier for him to come here. And you flip a Georgia commit, a Clemson commit, and a Pitt commit in your secondary. Not bad, right?
Yeah, not a bad day's work, I'll tell you.
A little bit of the story today, though, Seth, was maybe the lack of flips in the secondary as well. There was some talk that maybe Littleton would get back in the fold. He decommits from Clemson to basically visit Michigan, feel like he's a done deal when he gets up here, goes to Texas, and they make him commit on the spot, essentially, right? He ends up sticking with Texas. And then Graham, it's been an interesting recruitment with him from day one. There's always felt like there's been kind of this distance between him and Michigan. And when he committed to Colorado, I didn't think there was ever a chance that was going to kind of get rekindled. And the things got close for a little bit. And I don't know if it was the Jordan Young commitment specifically or what, but he obviously ends up flipping to USC, and he's not a part of this class. So those two were kind of part of the story as well today. Do you have any thoughts on either one, or, not being able to get Littleton? I know, again, we just talked about how great this class is with the 5, but obviously some folks are thinking one or two of those, even a week ago could have been in this class.
Yeah, Graham's recruitment was weird. I mean, it seemed like at one point, Michigan had some momentum there, and then it just kind of dropped off. You didn't hear much, and then he commits to Colorado. And yeah, kind of like you were saying, I didn't expect Michigan to really get back in the fold there. Clearly they were having some communication, just didn't work out. And really like Littleton as a player. That definitely would have been a nice pickup if they would have been able to get him. But at the end of the day, you win some, you lose some in recruiting, and you look at it and you really like this class when it comes to the secondary. So, they stayed in those recruitments. They, just didn't win them. But like I say, at the end of the day, I think they really like and are comfortable with what they have in that regard right now.
We're going to get under an hour, Josh. Here we go. 13 minutes. We're going to do it. Sorry, another running gag. So that pretty much wraps up the defensive side. Like I said, maybe another edge. I don't know. I think that might be more portal action and trying to maintain what you've got at this point.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it too. I mean, they can go portal if they need it.
Right. On the offensive side of the ball, you had a guy that we're a big fan of, Avery Gatch, local Michigan product. Mm-hmm. I've said for a while, I think he would be, if he had been considered a tackle, I think his rating would have been way higher. But he's a lock for guard. Zinter, Keegan, Bredesen, those kind of guys, that's what Avery Gatch is. He's going to come in and just be an absolute mover in the run game. You've got the Michigan State legacy, Caden Strayhorn coming in, probably going to play center for you. And for a while there, it was like, ooh, right? There's this big gap at tackle, and Michigan with one of their more deliberate, and I don't know what word I want to use, but just an impressive recruitment, not only for Michigan, but by Andrew Babaloa and his family as well. I had a lot of respect for the way they handled everything. But in the end, like Owusu Boateng takes his time, checks all the boxes, you've got your franchise left tackle. Franchise, man. I guess we're gonna have to start using pro terms.
Yeah.
We talk about. I can't help it. It's just the way it feels, right? And he's obviously the story. And then post Bryce Underwood commitment, Ty Haywood, current Alabama commit. Josh, he's pushing to signing day, which is a win for Michigan at this point. Time to get him on campus and go from there. But Babaloa left tackle, Gatch guard, Strayhorn center. With the 5 guys you added last year, you're working with incredible youth. You bring in Haywood, and oh my. I mean, literally, we've gone from haven't had really any true tackles, a lot of guards playing tackle lately, to between Babaloa, Sprague, potentially Haywood. I'll throw Frazier in there too. I think Frazier probably slides to guard. But either way, I mean, now you've got all these great 6'6", 6'8" long arm tackles. Like, talk about flipping a position room quickly.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, you've got some guys that could come in and compete right away too. I mean, 6'6", 300, right? Like walking off the street, essentially. I mean, that's some impressive stuff.
If you ever want to know if a guy can contribute early, I learned this a long time ago from an old dude's dad that did some scouting. It's called football neck.
Yep.
Look at his neck. That's football neck. He can contribute right away.
Classic football neck.
Dude, it is. Look at him.
Yeah. No, I mean,
tell me I'm wrong.
No, you're not at all. I mean, this dude it's again like a specimen. I mean, obviously a 5-star talent, you're going to get a 5-star looking kid. I mean, that's just the way it goes sometimes. Obviously, in terms of Moten, that's it can be the opposite direction too. A 5-star looking kid that falls through the cracks, but typically when you're talking about a 5-star kid,
that's a football neck too.
Yeah, you're not going to be looking at some skinny kid that, going to come in and need some time to simmer on the old oven stovetop here. But when you're talking about even Ty Haywood too, I think the more each day passes, I think the likelihood of that he at least has Michigan as his top school increases. Obviously he's not going to sign during the early period. So that means good news for Michigan. I do not think, again, the more this gets away from the early signing period, the less I think he ends up sticking with Alabama. And I think the less Alabama really wants to deal with it, to be honest with you. However, when you're talking about that and Haywood getting involved, that's going to mean opening up other opportunities for other schools to get involved too. So it's not like this is Michigan, Bama, or nothing. I mean, there's going to be other programs that Michigan's going to have to fight off here.
Yeah, somebody missed on guys today that are now going to look at who didn't sign yet, right?
Right. So it's not going to be as easy as, oh, hey, come on down, Ty. I mean, looking back in hindsight, it could very well be like that. Like, hey, Haywood's just going to end up at Michigan, no problem. I do think right now I'm leaning towards him being in the class. However, that's without competition for him yet. Other schools aren't really in the mix yet. So it's going to be a busy January for him. It's going to be a busy, February leading up to that. He can't take any visits during December.
Is it too cocky for me to say he still kind of feels like a luxury to me?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah.
Don't get me wrong. He's a great get. You need him. You need a guy like that, right? Yep. I'm not saying I don't care if he comes or not, but getting Babaloa is such because you got to remember they got Babaloa pre-momentum turn, right? They were not playing good on the football field.
Yeah, that was
right. This is the kid that came out and said, "Hey."
Wasn't that after the Illinois loss that they got him?
Something. It was one of those. Yeah.
The Illinois loss.
He came out and said, "Look, I believe in Sharon Moore, man. I think that was a big deal in terms of sparking some of this momentum moving forward too."
That kid is sounding more brilliant by the day. With that, I mean, just the way everything has just turned on its head, from those comments. But yeah, look, I think Michigan is if it's going to really come down to, and I hate talking about it, but it's just the way it is these days. If it's going to come down to, for the love of God, Derek, jeez, behave yourself in there. I don't have the energy to derail a podcast. I'm just trying to get through that.
Oh my God!
At least we know Derek has a type.
My girlfriend had football neck.
Oh, brother.
I don't know if we could have gotten through this without that information. Oh,
I needed that. That was great.
Yeah, Derek's always good for a nugget or two in the chat. So, that just totally derailed my train of thought. NIL. I hate talking about it, but it's just the way things are these days with NIL. Michigan's not going to be outbid. If they really want a guy, the way the things are right now, Michigan is not going to be outbid. So I don't think money is going to be an issue. It's just going to come down to whether the kid wants to come.
I think the reason you feel comfortable saying that, and we don't want to have to provide this context every single time,
right.
But this doesn't mean Michigan's getting into bidding wars. Quite the opposite.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Quite the opposite. Like, they still want people that want Michigan, that care about all the things that Michigan pitched and sold before. They just live in reality now, and obviously some of these house cases have kind of made things easier for Ward and other people at Michigan and everything to get on board, blah, blah, blah. But we've seen, I'm not going to drop names, there's no point, but we've seen multiple recruitments this cycle where a player has kind of come in and shown Michigan this love and taken their offer somewhere else and then come right back and asked for more, and Michigan's like, yeah, see ya, bud.
Yeah.
We're not doing that. So,
yeah. And Bryce Underwood too. That was never a bidding war. For Bryce Underwood. That was just Michigan, whipping it out and being like, "Hey, this is what we're going to offer. Take it or leave it." And
I've tried to explain to people too. Bryce is worth more at Michigan than he is at LSU. The point of NIL, name, image, likeness. Okay, that dude is going to be one of the top 3 to 5 faces of the Jordan brand very shortly.
Yeah,
because the kid from Detroit, being the starting quarterback at Michigan, wearing Jordan gear, I've said this before, and I know it's hyperbolic, but that we're talking cultural phenomenon type stuff here, right? Like what Bryce has the potential to be. So anyway,
look, Michigan is leveled the playing field here. With NIL NIL can be very bad, but it can also be very good. But in Michigan's case here, they are now leveling the playing field where money is not necessarily going to be the hindrance to getting guys, as you can see with this recruiting class. So
you're not going to get into the top 100 kids recruitments if you can't have honest conversations about NIL.
Right. And look, and I'm not suggesting that Ty Haywood is some like money hungry fiend that.
No, but he's worth something. That's just a fact.
Hey, you got, and exactly right. You got to know your worth. Like if I'm going to an employer and I have a dollar number in mind, it doesn't make me some money hungry jerk off who's just looking for a payday. I mean, well, maybe, but it's like you know your worth, and some guys know their worth and some guys don't. So it's all about the value. It's all about the dollars and cents, and it's just stuff. You have to. It's an awkward conversation to have. But it's time we start to have it. So
Jason said, first time Michigan has 2 consensus top 15, not 16 or 17.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I'd have to go look, but
I thought with Gary, DPJ. Anyway, I trust him. He said
I believe
Seth, we're off the rails. Offensive line, girls with football neck, whatever you want to talk about. Go ahead.
No, I just kind of piggyback up the NIL part of it was just throw my 2 cents in. We've seen NIL strategies fail. Other places as well. So I mean, I think we saw it in the transfer portal in the off season when Kenneth Grant, Mason Graham had clear opportunities to go elsewhere. And I don't know if they were being offered more money to go elsewhere, but Sharon basically told them like, hey, you know where you want to be, right? You know what we're about. And kind of sold, hey, the program, right? We're still, you guys still want to be here, right? You still want to play for Michigan. You go somewhere else, but we know we're going to develop you, and that you're going to be well taken care of here, no matter what that looks like. And the monetary aspect is definitely included in that. So just kind of want to throw my 2 cents in there. There was someone earlier that mentioned, and I'll talk, Babalo on the offensive line, just absolute beast, athletic, can do everything you.
And how long has he been playing football?
Not super long.
It was like sophomore year, right?
Yeah, just a couple of years. And that's so it's amazing that you look at a guy like that and say, hey, he could potentially play early at the Division I, Big Ten level,
right?
Playing football for a few years. That's insane. But I did see someone in the comments said, when are we going to talk about Eli Owens? And that's just been on my mind because I love that guy. I mean, he's just been just an advocate for the class and, Max Bryson comparisons, but yeah, we'll get to him when we get to him, but that's been weighing on my mind
fine.
too. Yeah, just about him.
We only have 20 seconds. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, right, quick.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, just
he has been like the lead recruiter of this class, hasn't he?
Has. Yeah, he's been great. Yeah, he's been really he's been awesome, and people I think underrate his ability to catch the ball too. Though he's capable of doing that and getting out and making plays down the field and being that type of person too. But yeah, classic H-back type of guy. Send him in motion, and he's gonna go full speed and just bash heads. He's just that type of player, and him and Avery Gatch, just kind of the same like mentality in terms of like in the trenches, gonna beat you up physically. Just the type of guys that Sharon wants at Michigan to help lead that running game.
Yeah, no, Eli's a great pull, and I think that Bredesen role can go to a whole nother level because what you just said, he is a way better pass catcher than people realize. Yep. He's downgraded a lot at that position because of his height, which obviously an H-back, fullback role, a guy that can get out in the flat and probably get snuck into the seam a few times. I know his high school tape is full of him making big grabs going down the seam. So huge get. That definitely obviously ties into probably another big story of a Aaron Shea. What a pull. Love it. Yeah. Another story from the day, Josh, and that's Andrew Olesh. Not signing today, signing Friday, theoretically. Was committed for a long time, and then obviously, took advantage of those visits, man. Go watch some football. have a good weekend, right? Yeah. The Penn State thing has just always been there. I think everybody knows Pennsylvania native. To say his dad is a Penn State fan is an understatement. The negative recruiting that has come from James Franklin in this recruitment that, we've heard from their family, I think it's pure James Franklin. It is what it is. Oregon's in there now, though, for sure, right? It seemed like Oregon would probably be out because of a couple prospects they were looking at mainly today. Is it Lincoln
Cure? Yeah.
Cure. I keep getting him mixed up with, is it Lincoln Keys that we have in Michigan for 26? Yeah, I keep mixing them up.
And the infamous band Lincoln Park, is that one too? Or are you thinking about getting confused then too?
All right. I'm torn on the new singer, by the way. I don't mind them doing new stuff.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, I don't mind them doing new stuff with her. I think it's really good. But like, you're not Chester, man. Like, R.I.P.
No one is. Lincoln Log.
Lincoln Logs, yeah.
Lincoln Log. Oh boy. Yeah.
What are we talking about? Oh, Lesh, yeah. Wherever you want to go with that.
Yeah, this one's a weird one. He told me that he was going to sign Friday, and I don't know if that's going to change. Oregon, your rooting guide would have been Lincoln Cure flipping to Oregon. That would have probably taken Oregon out of the running. Now I think I could see them getting back into it last minute. It's felt like for a long time that the kid really wants Michigan.
Yeah.
And there's people in his circle, just opinion, obviously. I'm not basing this on anything, but there's people in his circle that are kind of pushing back on Michigan and kind of wanting him to stay in state, or obviously Oregon's an option too. But this one is a weird one. I can't really tell you where this one's gonna go, right? At least right now. But when you're talking about a flip candidate, the school that the kid is flipping from is usually the last one to know in terms of intel anyway. Sometimes that's not always the case if they give enough, enough advance notice to a program and that word kind of leaks out. But right now, there's a lot of people that are kind of just, it's a weird mix between that they're not worried and a lot of silence. So again, I can't sit here and tell you where this is going to go. I think it is a loss if he does end up signing anywhere. Obviously, but when you're talking about the tight end room and the way Michigan has been developing tight end, that's like the one position that Michigan can afford a loss.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about a 250 kid, you're better off keeping him than you're not. But I mean, Michigan has done everything that they can at this point. It's going to come down to what.
So that's what I was just going to say. I think
Yeah.
some of that silence is a comfort level. And Seth,
Right.
I don't know if you agree, but I think Michigan feels like we've literally done everything we can here. We've answered every question. If your hang up was the quarterback, we got Bryce Underwood, right? We got the offensive line protection. The change at coordinator. I have a feeling these recruits know way more than we do in regards to that piece. So at some point you just go, what else can we do? Right. The kid ultimately and the family ultimately has to make a choice. So
right. Yeah. And I think his dad came out and said publicly, I think it was yesterday, that, and we're 2 days before he's going to sign at this point, that it's it could go either way, 33% Oregon, 33% Penn State, and then Michigan, so who knows? So yeah, if you're Michigan, you've done all you can with your recruitment. I think I had this conversation with some people on our boards the other day, just about Josh. They kind of made the point, or someone made the point about, there's a deep tight end room. Michigan's developed that very well. We're kind of waiting on maybe Marlon Klein is the next guy to step up. And then you have, guys like Prescore and Hogan Hansen, got in the field this year and did some good things. So definitely a position group you can afford to lose someone. But, I'm a big Andrew Olesh, just the type of player he is. I mean, he's phenomenal. I'm higher. I mean, I think a lot of people are high on him, but I think he could be an absolute stud at the next level for sure.
He's Loveland 2.0.
Yeah.
He is a wide receiver that grew into a tight end.
Yep.
And he would just be such a monstrous fit in Ann Arbor. And so I think their recruitment and all the visits has kind of brought on this look, if he goes kind of thing. And you forget, man, would he be good here? But look, kids make choices, and whatever he ends up deciding, obviously if he's at Michigan, then let's go. Right. If not, to Josh's point, if you don't get NOB, I'm concerned about that position. If you don't get your left tackle in Babel, I'm concerned about that position. You want to get Loveland 2.0 in the fold, but you've got good classes back to back there. And let's be honest, again, with the transfer portal, what elite tight end wouldn't want to come to Michigan if they were in the portal, right? So because we've kind of touched on wide receivers a little bit in the Bryce conversation. You guys feel to go either way you want with this, but let's put the running backs and the wide receivers skill positions together here. Start with running backs. You get Jasper Parker early. Again, another great example of getting in on a guy early. Has a strong senior year. Looks like he's going to be an absolute stud, all-around running back that can come in, probably play a little bit early, but has the potential to be I see some Haskins in him, that kind of, powerful upright runner. Donovan Johnson, you take a shot on him. That's a former 5-star top 50 player at one point, I think. Came back this year, played as a senior, obviously wasn't at that 5-star level. I kind of think about guys like Braden McGregor and Tyler Morris, though, who suffered these really serious knee injuries in high school. And it wasn't just that first year of rehab or even that first year of college. Sometimes it takes that second year of college, 2 to 3 years past that injury, because your development's been altered so much, right? In really important years, that I wouldn't be shocked if Johnson comes to Michigan in red shirts, and then maybe by a sophomore or junior year, you really start to see him recapture that potential. And Seth brought up the size at receiver, Jacob Washington, Jamar Browder, and then the little guy, Andrew Marsh as well, right? Look, and this is a spot too. We know they're going to look at a couple guys in the portal. We've already heard a couple names, potential there, and Tyler Morris has already left. I mean, that room could completely reshape. Same thing with running back. Mullings and Edwards is leaving. Who Bryce Underwood or whoever is starting day one is looking at in terms of distributing the ball. It's going to be very, very different in 2025.
Yeah, I think I'll start with the running backs. You know, and when you're talking about like a Donovan Johnson too, I think if you're asking for an injury to happen, you obviously never want to see a kid get hurt. His junior year is probably the best time to do it because, as you mentioned, you know, especially if it's a knee injury like that, like he had, you know, he's already got 1 year under his belt. So he's coming into Michigan with the clock already ticking in terms of bouncing back and going beyond where he was. So, yeah, I mean, he's probably a type of guy that projects a little longer compared to someone like a Jasper Parker. But I mean, Parker's a dynamic athlete, you know, a guy that's broken multiple state records, just a guy that puts up stats, and he's going to be an interesting guy because um, Michigan's running back room is really kind of in an interesting point right now. Do you kind of take the reins and say, hey, you know, Jordan Marshall and Micah Kaapana, do you give them the 1-2 punch and let them take over, or do you get a guy out of the portal that to be your number one guy and or someone obviously that hasn't entered the portal yet? So they're kind of entering a interesting type of dynamic here moving forward at the running back room, but. You know, I think from an immediate impact standpoint, Jasper Parker is probably the closest out of the two, obviously. But I don't know if he's I don't know. It's tough to call. It's really hard to project running backs because you don't know what you have exactly. I mean, obviously there's some guys where you just plug and play and you know that they're going to be fine. I mean, I don't know if you're going to look and say, like, take a guy like Blake Corum who would play his true freshman season and then just dominate from there on out. I don't know if anyone would have, you know, gone and just
our Steven Toski did.
Well, yeah, I mean, Toski
hit 2 home runs, man.
Is the GOAT.
He's the GOAT. He had Blake Corum over Charbonnet by a significant margin, he said. And he thought Kalel Mullings shouldn't have played linebacker. He wanted Kalel Mullings at running back from the get-go. So
that's why he's the GOAT.
He is the GOAT. Okay.
But I mean, yeah, just Jasper is like, you look at him, 6'2", that's really good size for a running back.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's ready, like, physically. I mean, obviously he needs a little bit more time in the strength and conditioning program. So it's really hard to predict where this one's going to go because, again, we don't really know what Michigan's plans are for the upper half of the depth chart, considering that they're losing both Edwards and Mullings, and they've already lost a depth piece in Tavi Dunlap, and who knows what this offseason is going to bring. So, yeah, I mean, they could address the top half out of the portal, you know, rather quickly. So it's hard to project where both of those guys are going to land, but you know, you love 6'2" out of a running back as a true freshman, you know, and these Louisiana kids are typically pretty darn good. Play really good competition too, which is really good stuff.
Yeah. Parker's one of those guys. I wasn't, you know, until Michigan kind of got on him, and you know, obviously he committed to the Wolverines. I just when I put on his tape, and Trevor's doing it right now. But I'm like, kind of one of those things. I did not know this man's game.
He added an extra gear this year.
Yeah,
that top end speed. He's faster. Yeah.
I mean, look at some of his numbers, and you know, even without the tape, just explosive games that he had over and over again with Archbishop Shaw there. So yeah, really explosive, really dynamic. I think IMG was being, I think, a little bit careful with Donovan Johnson this season.
Yeah,
I agree.
You look back at some of his numbers and, you know, off of injury and things like that. So yeah, I think it's just going to take a little time for him. And then the point you guys were kind of making about, you know, it's hard to project the running backs, especially when you don't know who the offensive coordinator is, right? And how they're going to be utilized. You know, a guy like Kaapana, who's probably has some, you know, potential as a pass catcher out of the backfield, but how much is that going to be utilized, you know, with the next OC, whoever that might be. So, yeah, just different factors that are, involved there. Capana is really small. I noticed, just down by the field, and he's. I like his potential and things like that, but it kind of flashed me back to Sam McGuffey when back in the day.
Whoa!
Yeah, just like
now who shall not be named.
Yes, just we're in the Big Ten. Like let's get some weight down here, but
he's fast
he's
though.
young. He's
really fast.
Yeah, he's an athlete for sure, and I'm excited to kind of see where that goes from there. But no, I like Josh said, Parker is very much ready to maybe not play right away, but relatively early in his career, I think he has a shot to do something and be dynamic in this offense.
That run he just had there, I'm telling you, on his junior tape, he gets caught. I don't know what he did or where it came from, but he's just got that extra top end. So when you talk about size, vision, the cuts that he's making, good acceleration burst, and this top end speed, I liked him when they first got him anyway, but his senior year, I'm really, really high on Jasper Parker. You have time to wait for Donovan Johnson. I don't think it's any secret that, Josh and I have been high on Jordan Marshall for a very long time.
Oh yeah, big time.
I'm disappointed that he and Hall, him was more injury related, but you didn't get enough carries for the young guys this year. And that creates this question mark where do you trust talent in the running back room next year, or do you have to go get a guy? And it doesn't necessarily, I don't know if it is that RB1 clear cut or if it's somebody, who could be the short yarded, who could be Ben Hall if Ben Hall can't be Ben Hall kind of thing. I don't know what the answer is there. The coaches are going to have to figure that out. But yeah, Jordan Marshall is just another level for me on and off the field. If Kaapana gets to a point where he can physically play, like Seth said, with his speed, if Ben Hall can stay healthy, I think he's been a bruiser at times. And then Parker comes. I really like where that room's at. The last little piece, I guess, just on the wide receivers. Actually, no, we talked about them, right? Probably pretty good there.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Marsh. I'm glad they got him to stick. He gives me I don't know, maybe DPJ vibes almost in terms of. Do you think he's more of a slot guy, Seth, or Marsh?
I think he's versatile. I think he can play outside the numbers and inside, but put him in motion, get him a matchup on the inside, but able to go down the field as well. So I think it kind of depends on how they see him fit, but I think he can do a variety of things catching the ball.
Who?
You might never hear me say this again.
No, somebody made an unbelievable comparison, right at the start of the show. Go ahead.
Derek made a really good point here, and again, you'll probably never hear me say this again. He made a really good point. Whatever OC comes in might bring a running back with him too. It also the offensive coordinator does have some sort of element to this too, because depending on where Michigan goes with this, you could bring some guys with him too, or just the way. No, I'm not saying that an offensive coordinator is going to come in and change the way Michigan wants to run the ball. That's not going to change. Sharon said today that they want to be more balanced, but there's ways to be balanced and also be forward thinking as well at the same time, but not necessarily change who you are.
If you throw for 150 passing yards a game consistently next year, you're more balanced.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Let's talk about where they're starting here. Jason said Derek Alexander for Marsh. I think that, completely different eras, but what a cool pull.
Yeah. I love you, Derek. I'm just messing with you.
No, back to your previous point though. When it comes to the portal at running back, you've got a guy like Alford who has recruited a lot of running backs. Yeah. And there's going to be some familiarity with somebody that goes in the portal.
For sure.
There's not one name, a former Detroit kid. If he hops in, I think both
sides I want
mutual interest would exist. So
bad. I want that to happen so bad. Darius Taylor. Give me.
I was going to say, we'll say it. Darius Taylor, Minnesota. My God, get in the portal.
We can't tamper. Like, it's not like can't talk about it like we can tamper.
Michigan
Darius
offered him.
Taylor, give me death.
Yeah, Michigan offered him late in his recruiting cycle, and I think he felt by then it was too late. He felt a little burned. I think if he comes in, the idea of him, Hall, and Marshall.
Oh, I'd be fine. I'd be fine with that.
The Capana sprinkled in.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Let's wrap it up. Give me. I asked the comment section early on your favorite recruit in the 2025 class. My God, don't say Bryce Underwood. Okay, asking you nicely. But no, favorite recruit in the class, and then just where do you think? Look, we've seen Michigan recruit really, really good classes in the past, and things not go well, and we've seen them have classes that were like, man, that's not too great, and then they're the foundation of a 3-time Big Ten championship run, right? So it's not all about rankings, and I'm not saying just because this class is ranked really good that there's negative sides with it either, but just in terms of your favorite recruit in the class, top to bottom, where do you think this class sits? Is this one that you're optimistic about, or do you think it might take time?
Oh, yeah, I think, well, at least from the top, I mean, you can't really call it top heavy because they've got a lot. I mean, their star average is almost smack dab right.
Yeah, their bottom is pretty good in this class.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, really, I mean, you're talking about the best recruiting class since, 2016, 2017. Man, I mean, you're expecting them at this point, just considering who they have, what they did to get them. You expect them to come in and win games for Michigan. I think, obviously you look back at the 2016s and them kind of underperforming a little bit, but I think times are just different now in Ann Arbor. Times are just different. Yeah. Happy's learned how to putt, essentially. So I think, yeah, exactly. I mean, now you've got a head coach that can also beat Ohio State and knows what it takes to beat Ohio State.
We just talked about this on the pod the other day with quotable movies, and now I can't stop.
Yeah, exactly.
There's so many in my head. I believe that coat belongs to Mr. Gilmore.
Yeah. But again, per usual, I get way off track. I think my favorite recruit in this class, I think from a leadership standpoint and a glue guy, Eli Owens. The next Max Bredesen.
Was that going to be your answer, Seth?
Yeah, we might as well just.
I mean, it's totally fine though, because I don't think enough people are talking about Eli Owens. Yeah. However, they will be, because he's going to be that next Max Bredesen leader type that's just going to run through your face and doesn't care about the consequences. So, and Michigan needs more of that, and hopefully Max Bredesen can come back next year. So you've got a Max Bredesen mentor for the future Max Bredesen. So, you hope that kind of thing happens, but you need glue guys. I don't care what they look like. I don't care what they, I don't care what their star rating is or where they play. You need glue guys. And Eli Owens is one of those, and I'll always kind of have an affinity for glue guys that stick it out no matter what. Was stuck it out through the transitional process between Harbaugh and Sharon Moore, even though it was obvious where the direction it was going to go. But yeah, Eli Owens for me.
Press is wrong.
Yeah. Well, since I can't go Eli Owens, I was talking about Avery Catch earlier as well. Just yeah,
that's a good one too.
Yeah. Well, we talk about kind of a new era in Michigan football, and they're going to be, maybe a different type of offense and just some new things. The NIL game is much different than what we've seen in the past. But like at the end of the day, I think Sharon Moore's roots are still, to run the football, to be physical at the line of scrimmage, and they still have those type of guys in this class. Eli Owens is one of them. I think Avery Gatch is another guy. Just he was talking on our show today with Dennis about, his mom tells him he's the nicest guy off the field, but on the field he makes no friends, and that type of thing. So
what a mom thing to say. You're not making friends on the football field.
No, you're gonna hate him during the game. You're gonna hate him after the game. He kind of said that. So I just think like all the shiny new objects and things that might be surrounding Michigan football. But like, listen, at the end of the day, this is still like smash, right? It's Sharon Moore's philosophy. And, they're going to have some new things to go along with this, and, some shiny new objects, and, Bryce Underwood and some wide receivers who can stretch the field. But it's still their roots, right? It's still Sharon's roots to run the football and to be a smash mouth program. And I think you're going to see that marriage kind of work out really well in the future.
I don't think it's a coincidence. You guys, Eli Owens and Avery Gatch, that's two of the top 5 football neck guys in this recruiting class. Eli Owens might be.
I think a lot of people gravitate towards like early recruitment guys too, because people,
especially in this era.
There's a lot to say about loyalty too, especially in this modern era of recruiting. I think a lot of people like to gravitate towards the dudes who stuck it out from start to finish. And both of those guys are early commit guys. I mean, obviously, Eli Owens I can't remember when he committed like exactly, but I think it was before the previous cycle ended, I believe. But I might be wrong there. But yeah, people just like to gravitate towards the early committed guys who stuck it out.
Yeah, Owens was January.
Yeah.
That's football neck, boys. Look at that.
Oh, that's classic.
It's a beauty.
It's a great football neck. We were beyond creepy already at this point, so jump right in. So we're good.
Right there. That's beauty.
I was just talking with somebody last night about a boss of mine that didn't understand what the term tall drink of water meant. Like he thought it just meant like a tall dude, right? And like we were outside and this guy walks by and he's like, well, that guy's a tall drink of water. And I was like, what? like really tall. It's a tall guy. I'm like, all right. Whatever, dude. Oh my gosh. Owens, great pick. I've been a big fan of Avery Gatch. I mean, I've been saying for a while, I think he's a 5-star talent, but he's locked in at guard, so he won't be treated like it. He's absolutely in that Zinter, Keegan, Bredesen fold. I could pick so many people here. I really, I'm high on Olusa Boateng. We talked about Moten as an underrated guy, what he can come in and do. I think Nate Marshall is awesome and going to be a stud edge player. I think I'm going to go with the guy we just showed, though, with Jasper Parker. I liked him already, but the step he's taken in his senior year, Haskins became Haskins. Kalel Mullings became Kalel Mullings. You know what I mean? Like, that wasn't a quick thing. They kind of switched back and forth, linebacker, running back, blah, 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 whatever. Even like a Karan Higdon, that kind of guy. When I watch Parker's tape, he looks like a Michigan running back of this last few years already, right? Like, it's not like you can see that the signs of it. He's there already. And he's got that extra burst that Mullings didn't have. Blake Corum didn't really have after his freshman and sophomore years either, that last little burst. And Donovan even, post-surgery. Like, that combination of size, vision, cut, leg drive, footwork, and top-end speed, I think Parker is just such a good fit at running back. And to Seth's point, though, I don't think they're going to reinvent the wheel on offense, but it will be interesting. New OC coming in. And look, frankly, if passing the ball more to the running back is part of that game plan, sign me up. I've been screaming for Donovan Edwards' entire career since November 2021, a game against Maryland, to throw the ball to him more.
Yep.
We've seen Jasper Parker can catch. We know Jordan Marshall can. Like, you've got the dudes to do it. So, all right, guys, only 28 minutes over an hour. Josh, we did it.
Hey, that's all right. I kind of got my energy back towards the end of this podcast.
Don't let me get my swagger back.
Yeah. I came out a little flat, but now I brought it back. I'm not doing Lou Holtz. I don't have Lou Holtz energy.
What are you, dead?
Yeah,
Like,
I might be. Who knows?
yeah.
A long day.
I know exactly what you mean because I'm like trying to think of when I could do it. I don't want to do it. So
Trevor, you do got to acknowledge we've gotten multiple comments about the hat. So the Tigers hat, the logo, people have seen it like that. So
I wear this often. It's one of my favorite hats. Yeah. Yeah. I looked forever. They only used the logo. It was by itself like this, and then it was like in a roundel for a couple of years. But I think it was like 4 years in the 60s was the only time they used it. I mean, look at how ridiculous is that drawing. We've gone to like minimalist logos now where there's like very little detail. Look at that face, bro.
Yeah, that is one of my favorite Tigers logos.
Oh yeah, I love this hat. So thank you for recognizing it. Is it Circuit City reference? Yeah, there it is, Steve. Circuit City wouldn't employ football necks and got closed down for it. Trevor gets in trouble for looking at girls' football necks. Football neck doesn't age well.
No, it doesn't.
It does not.
No.
I don't know. It becomes bowling neck.
Yeah.
Bowling alley neck. I might have a little bowling alley neck under this beard myself, but all right, boys. We're delusional. We're tired. You know what I mean? The guy that said the bowling alley a lot.
Yeah, or just a guy that just has a busted neck because he's a football player.
Yeah, like literally. You got one of those necks where you start bubbling up your bees when you talk.
Oh yeah.
Going to the bowling alley, bowling bear. We gotta go. We gotta go. Gentlemen, incredible work. For those that don't know, obviously we coordinated the last few days and got everything ready and prepped to be able to have a successful signing day and rolling out. For those of you that don't know too, Michigan.rivals.com, head over there. Our signing day hub is up. It is fantastic. I'm actually really proud of the work we did. We've got quick recruiting breakdowns on like how each player's recruitment went, how they ended up at Michigan, some outlooks on their potential. Dennis interviewed 5 or 6 recruits today.
Yeah.
Videos are embedded right in there. We've got the graphics from Michigan in there. Everything you need from signing day is right there. So, Seth, I'll speak on behalf of Josh and just say thank you so much for the work you've done covering recruiting for us. Josh, I know your mind is in a lot of places right now. You're getting ready to take a very, very important trip. So appreciate you grinding out today. And you guys, I keep saying I'm always impressed with these viewership numbers when I look at it. A lot of it comes from Josh's Twitter, I think. But
hey, it's got to come from somewhere. I mean,
yeah.
We can't do any of this without the viewership and without the support. So.
No. I mean, and again, it's cool to, I mean, we're finishing out here, Steve, Jason, Derek, those are our regulars, right? But like, it's cool to see like new regulars develop, like guys that come in and then they're coming back every single week. And you guys have said, in terms of social media too, we've seen a lot of really nice feedback from you guys in terms of the coverage and what we do. So that means the world to us. I hope I say it all the time, but we work for you guys and we like being a tight-knit community. We never want to feel like we're above you, talking at you or anything like that. So come in here, be a part of the conversation. If you're watching this on playback, like, subscribe, notification bell, know when we go live. We always have Hail to the Podcast Sundays at 7. Dennis with his post-game live coverage after every basketball and football game. But I mean, like today, Dennis was live at different moments all day. As soon as he could get a recruit in, he went live. Just incredible work from him as always. And then, if you're not a subscriber already, take what you got here. Head on over to Michigan.rivals.com. Get inside the den. Everything you see here goes 24/7 at the message board community we have over there. And more intel is going to keep coming. The transfer portal. My God. So you're going to want to keep up on all that. If you don't want to pay us up front, promo code BLUE30 gets you 30 days free. Give us a shot. We think you'll stay. I think we can earn you.
I think so.
Yeah. I'm definitely Cliff. Ah, crap. Yes, a Cheers reference. We're Frasier, Norman, Cliff. I love Cheers so much.
Seth might be old enough to understand what Cheers is. Brock would have no idea what the hell we're talking about.
I'm familiar.
Hey, here we go.
Hey.
You can understand a reference. All right.
Yeah.
Oh my God! If Brock was here, I'd be so mad because Happy Gilmore would have been over his head.
Oh, he probably have never seen. We gotta ask him on Sunday if he's seen Happy Gilmore.
Yeah,
I bet he hasn't. I'm willing to put money down that he hasn't.
Norm. Every time he walks in the bar,
Brock would be clueless.
but that's okay. He's
we love our Brock. We love our Brock.
Our little Brock star.
Yeah,
All right, I'm at that phase now where I can't tell if I'm awake or not. So
I am sorry for the disappointment of not being in a closet. I know that's the norm around here for Brock.
You know what though? Josh is right. There's the consistent like Christmas wrapping paper room, which is intense. Like it's awesome. Like do not mess around with the wrapping paper. But like sometimes he's just like in a different room, and it's different every week. You never know.
Yeah, you never know what you're gonna get with Brock. The background with Brock is just
because he will not tell you I can't do it.
Yeah, he's just gonna wherever he is.
Like if something came up or what. There was one. The reason he was in the closet was because like he didn't know there was going to be a house party in his house.
He was hiding in the closet.
So he was hiding in the closet.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, don't worry, we'll be quick. You know, it'll be under an hour.
Yeah.
Which it never is.
No, it never is. The closet.
Oh, Darbo, get out of here. Cade coming back to AA.
Yeah.
I doubt that.
What were we giving Darbo crap about last episode? I forgot. It was something. Oh, the medium well. Yeah, he's a well done steak guy. I never take the opinion seriously of a well done steak guy. Sorry for your well done steak folks out there, but
he was talking about. I was talking to him. I don't remember if it was earlier today or yesterday at this point, but he was saying something about wanting to try Wagyu, and I'm like, bro, if you order a Wagyu steak well done, they won't do it. They won't do it, and they'll kick you out.
They laugh at you. You can't try Wagyu well done. You may as well just go to the dollar store and get like the cube steak. It'd be the same thing.
How long does it take to eat a well done steak? It's got to be hours. Aside time to do that.
Yeah, true. No need to apologize. Yeah, well, I'm just being nice because I don't want to have.
What is your profile picture, Blake? Great takes in the Great Lakes. And
that's pretty
what?
good.
Yeah, but like, what are those? I don't know. Whatever.
Those are interesting logos for sure.
Iowa folks are weird. Yep, medium.
Yeah. I'd never trust them from Iowa.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
That's what happens. The children of the corn grow up and they eat well done steaks.
Oh, Darbo. I would love to see him eat a rare steak though. I'd love it.
He won't.
That's too bad.
Next time you go into Australia, I want to come with you. I want to box Kangaroo Jack. What, next week?
Luck. Yeah, good luck. Yeah.
Get your ticket, Darbo.
Next week, next Thursday. It's crazy.
We'll have, if Mike Tyson and what's his name, other guy, Jake Paul?
Yeah.
If they can make all that money for that fake fight, we can get people for Darbo versus Rue.
Yeah. I also realized, and I told Brock and Trevor this, that
it's the Rumble Down Under.
I have a 16-hour flight, and I don't have Wi-Fi. So all hell is going to break loose when I'm in the air for 16 hours. And thankfully, my flight leaves at 10 p.m. LA time, so I'm going to miss probably a good 12 hours of...
Wait, how does this work? Okay, you're leaving at what time? 10 what?
10 p.m. LA time.
Okay, on
so
what day?
1 p.m. Eastern on Thursday.
When are you landing in Australia?
9 a.m. Saturday.
That's crazy.
No, so I miss a whole day. But not really though. I technically miss a whole day, but I don't know. So
it's time travel. That's insane.
Realistically, all hell could break loose when I'm on that plane. I could probably get the scoop of the century in my text messages, but I won't be able to get it until I land. And then I'd miss it. That's my greatest fear right now.
So when you come home,
it's the same day. It's weird.
I come home back in time.
Yeah. I leave on a Sunday and come home on a Sunday.
You know what'd be fun?
It's weird.
To do New Year's Eve in Australia and then fly to LA, then do it in LA hours later.
Yeah. Have multiple New Year's days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So it should be interesting. We'll see how it works. But
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm sure if there's anything I know, it's that when we get preoccupied, news never breaks. So we'll be fine.
Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely nothing's going to happen when you're up in the air. We'll be good.
It's going to be quiet because they all know. They're like, oh, he's flying. He'll be busy. Well, let's hold off. Let's wait till he lands.
Jim Harbaugh returns as
Be something ridiculous. You just know it.
He's just quarterback coach now.
Yeah.
You want to come back so bad.
Something crazy.
I might just hit the button. No, I'm kidding. All right, guys. Thank you. We'll still see you Sunday with our regular Hail to the Podcast. Michigan.rivals.com. Continue to follow our coverage, recruiting, and portal, basketball, hockey, football. Go Blue. We'll see you soon. Hail to the Podcast.